Welcome back into Exit 99 Sports. As always, my name is Caleb Deloach, and we are officially done with winter sports. The basketball postseason is totally over. Boys, girls, big classes, they wrapped up the end of this past week. So we will start out there. We'll talk about, obviously, primarily the Jackson girls and how they did at the Final Four, and then I'll quickly mention everything else that happened the rest of the week. A couple other area teams, but outside of that, just kind of run through that quickly. And then we've got spring sports running. This past week, the end of the week, some baseball got going. I went to Notre Dame Invitational over the weekend, so there was a little bit of action over the end of last week, and then I will go ahead and kind of preview what all we have going on this week. It's a very busy week now. Like I said, we've flipped the page into spring sports, so we've got baseball, track, tennis, girls soccer, the whole 9 yards, just going every single day from here until end of May. So let's go ahead and jump right in. We will start, like I said, with the basketball postseason, wrap up the top three classes, and start with the Jackson girls. They did lose. They lost both games while they were there in the Final Four. They finished in fourth place in Class 6. They lost in the semifinals to Staley. The game was 52-31. Lauren Dory led them in scoring. She had 11. Addison Henderson had 7. Kate Deck had 6. Chloe Abernathy had 4 points. Rachel Berger had 3. And, going into it, you knew that they were going to be an underdog. This is a Staley team that was in the state championship a year ago. They brought back basically everybody from that roster last season. All you have to do is look at the recruiting rankings. All right, there's not as many resources devoted to that for girls basketball as there is boys basketball, but you can get on 247 Sports like I did and look up girls high school basketball rankings, state of Missouri. They've got Destiny Maniel, the big one, 6'3", junior forward. She's got 40-plus offers to every school in the country. She's a beast. They've got, guards going to Arizona State, guards going to Nebraska, guards with a ton of offers that are juniors as well. So Jackson was going to be at a disadvantage. Staley has really good size, athleticism. They have experience being there, and they've just got a lot of talent. And it's kind of how it worked out. I mean, Jackson, they lose by 21. There's only so much positive you can kind of pull from it, but they didn't play bad. Staley was just better at most positions, and it's kind of how it went. Staley averages like 66 points a game, and Jackson held them to 52. They played really well defensively. They made life pretty difficult. Maniel was able to kind of get going, especially early. I think she scored the first 6 points of the game really quickly. I was like, oh, okay, well, things might be getting away already here. There's just too many turnovers for Jackson, which is, it's kind of the game plan for Staley. They're going to pressure you all over the court. They've got, super long, athletic girls on the perimeter. They're going to make your life really difficult, and that's what they did. They forced a lot of turnovers, got out in transition. But overall, I wasn't too disappointed with it. Jackson it was just hard to get going offensively. They held to 31 points. There just weren't good looks. They were big. They were on everything. Lauren Dory inside. She had 11. She did a lot, but you're being guarded by a girl taller than you are, which is something that she's never sees, right? This girl's taller and bigger and quicker than she is. So, it's a tough test there. They were hounding Kate Deck. They were hounding all the guards out on the perimeter. Kate did make 2 early threes. I was like, maybe she's going to get hot and kind of be able to keep us in this, but they lost her a couple times on those threes, and then after that, I want to say it was London Parker guarding her. She was just all over her, man. She was just everywhere. Kate was. She was stuck on her like glue, and it was tough. It was a tough game. It was just a real grind, but like I said, Jackson played all right. They played hard throughout. They never quit, which you expect. This is a team, that's what they do. They're super intense the way they play. They play super physical, aggressive defensively. And, even when it wasn't going their way, they kept playing hard, which I really appreciated. And it gave me optimism going into the third place game. Because third place games, there's usually two ways they go. They're usually either a blowout because one team is super deflated from losing the previous day, or it is a shootout because both teams are, you've kind of got there's nothing to lose here type of situation. We're not playing for the championship anymore. And so they get up and down a lot. Like you saw it a couple of games in the boys' side, like they get really high scoring. The girls' games get really high. The third place games are usually very high scoring. And this one was a pretty fun one. Except in the third place game, Jackson took on Lee Summit West. Jackson just could not make the ball go in the basket. It was so frustrating to watch. Jackson ends up losing 65-52, just in large part because of how the game began. Jackson started the game down 14-0 or 14-2 in about 4 minutes. Jackson just could not score to save their life. The ball just wouldn't go in. They had good looks. They get a shot at the rim, just clank off. Open shots from the perimeter, bricks, mid-range shots, open, brick. They were good shots. They were shots they usually make. They just weren't going in. I don't know what, if you want to say it's pressure or, being affected by speed and quickness. Lee Summit West is a good team. Their point guard is going to Missouri State. She's, an elite defender. She's about 5'6", but crazy wingspan, super, super quick. Made life kind of difficult. They pressured full court. They have a big girl inside who's a sophomore, but she has a slew offer. She's big too. So, they attributed to some of the issues, but overall, Jackson just couldn't make the ball go in. It was kind of one of those days. It felt a little bit similar to the Jorge Zoo game in districts last year, where Jackson just missed shots and lost the ball game. But in the second half, they really got going. Jackson shot 3 of 24 in the first half. I think that's 12% off the top of my head, 12.5 maybe. 12%, 3 of 24 from the field in the first half. The only reason it wasn't a total blowout already at halftime was because they got to the free throw line quite a bit. And they made free throws. It was just such a frustrating first half, and they played well in the second. Kate Deck was on fire in the second half. Let me see. I know she had 22 in the game as I was watching, and I was kind of keeping my own score here. I was keeping the scorebook for myself. Yeah, Kate had 4 points all in the first quarter, none in the second. So she had 4 at halftime, and she finishes with 22. So she had 18 in the second half. To kind of illustrate my point here, Lauren Dory was second on the team in scoring. She had 10. She only made 1 shot in the ball game. Every other point, 8 points were on free throws for her. Addison Henderson had 7. Lily Watkins had 8. She made a couple of threes. Went out with a little bit of a bang there for Lily. Jayla Smith had 2. Bryn Banderman had a made 3 to give her 3 points. So, yeah, Jackson just couldn't score in the first half. They had 16 points at halftime. In the third quarter, they scored 17 points. So they were able to flip a switch. They got going. A big part of that was they got the snotty girl. That's a tough last name. Antil Snotty, the best player on Lee Summit West and the best defender. She averages like 4 points a game. Got her in a lot of foul trouble, so she came out, kind of opened up the floor a little bit for Jackson. They got going in the second half, but just were unable to reel them all the way back in. They got it down to about, I want to say 6, and then the snotty girl hit a 3. I think they got to stop and then hit another shot to put them right back up close to or over double digits. So, not going to get super all the way deep into the season right now, but 27-3, unbelievable year for Jackson, man. I the way I thought it going into it, and I saw. It was a similar phrase used by Cole Lee there in SEMO Ball, is that, they're honestly ahead of schedule, right? This is a team, let's say the top 10 of their rotation, 7 of them are freshmen and sophomores. They had 2 seniors on the entire roster, which we will give a shout out to. Lily Watkins, Jayla Smith, both those girls going to be graduating. That is going to be Tough to replace leadership-wise. I mean, Jayla was the dog, defending people, hitting tough shots, getting downhill. Lily Watkins also they both kind of encapsulated that mentality. Lily was a monster full-court defender, hounded people. Basically, if the other team's best player is a guard or wing, they just stuck Lily on her to start the game, and she made lives really, really, really difficult. You look at a lot of really, really good players, they were pretty much always held below their season average, thanks to the fact that Lily Watkins was guarding them and usually, like I said, making their life, chaos. She was just all over the place. Great defender. So both those girls graduating, going to leave a little bit of a hole. I mean, it's 2 starters moving on for the Indians. And then, like I said, 7 of the 10 that were in the rotation last year were freshmen and sophomores. You look at the junior class, there's only 2 juniors on the entire roster. So there are only 4 upperclassmen, period, on the roster. And, Rachel Berger who was pretty often in the rotation, Alexis Nugent there as well in the junior class. But, when you have a team this young, you might not expect to see them in the Final Four. It was crazy kind of listening to the broadcast. And I think, at the lady doing the broadcast, can't remember her name now, doctor something, she mentioned it a few times how, it's like, oh, here's freshman Chloe Abernathy, here's freshman Bryn Vanderman, here's sophomore Deck or Henderson. It's just like, wait a second, they have this many freshmen and sophomore on the team? Yeah. Like, you look at all the other starters who are on all the other Final Four teams, they are very dominant, or senior and junior dominant on all those teams. So Jackson, unbelievable to be where they were. They beat a good Corey Zoo team that had, their senior star, Lauren Ortworth, broke up, I think, 3 straight years of them winning the district in her senior season. So if you were kind of doing this as like, hey, this is the script that should go, it wouldn't be that Jackson would already be where they were in the Final Four. But, punching their ticket to the Final Four for the first time since 2003, just an awesome season. They're the best team in Southeast Missouri. They're 30 points, but they played Kennett a couple of times. They beat Kennett 66-29, 71-43. That's the closest game they played in the SEMO Conference this season, right? There's nobody else in the area that can compete with them. They played St. Vincent, who's relatively in the area, and Jackson beat them in a grinder by 2 in a game where Jackson played without a couple girls in the rotation, a couple girls sick, things like that. So Jackson was so dominant. They killed Festus, killed Farmington. They just played Donovan. You want to say Donovan's maybe the second best team south of Jackson, or the next best team south of Jackson? Jackson beat them 57-37. So their sights aren't set on teams in Southeast Missouri. It's just, look around the state. And there's, 3 teams better than Jackson probably this year. Maybe 4, but 3 teams better than Jackson. Incarnate Word, who, I'll point out, Incarnate Word did beat Staley in the championship 50-46. Great ball game. It was kind of the presumed championship, the rematch from last year. The 2 most talented teams by a mile. Really, really good game. Incarnate Word, championship DNA, man. It's 8 championships in a row, something like that. Get out of Misha, please. Jeez. So shout out to them. But Incarnate Word, Staley, Lee Summit West. I think Kickapoo was ranked ahead of Jackson at the end of the season. They got knocked out by, I assume, Lee Summit West. So, yeah, that's pretty much the teams that compete with Jackson on the year, So, shout out to the Lady Indians, man. Incredible year. And to come up 4th in state, really, really awesome accomplishment. Like I said, they're bringing 7 girls who played a lot of minutes back. They've got a ton of girls who didn't play a lot, who are very talented. They're going to be back on the roster next year. I mentioned you've got the Abernathys, Aubrey Baker, Bryn Vanderman as 9th graders that played a good amount and are really talented. You've had, Several other freshmen here. You have several sophomores that were predominantly on JV. I mean, you've got a really, really good group. I'm sure they've got some really talented. I know the Abernathys have a younger sister. They have a really talented 8th grade team that kills people. 7th grade team kills people. So I don't expect the dominance to really slow down anytime soon. So we can jump on down, look at the rest of the Final Four. Class 5, nobody from around here. 3rd place went to Marshfield to beat Grandview pretty easily. And then the championship game, Lift for Life beat MICDS by 19. MICDS is a team that Jackson has seen the last couple of years. They have Jordan Haywood, who's kind of heralded as the best player in the state of Missouri. So there's that. Class 4, Donovan from the region did make it to the Final Four. They were defending champs in Class 4. They beat Benton 52-42. That was a rematch of the championship. That was in the semifinals. Thanks a lot to Carson Haygood. She had 20 in the ball game. It was a really back and forth game, or late it was. Benton led most of it, but great comeback for the Donettes. And the championship ran into a buzzsaw, man. Stratford is the real deal. I mean, they beat Donovan by 20, and they were playing without their best player on the team. So the best player on the team, I think, like tore ACL or meniscus or something earlier in the postseason. The coach's daughter, Larson, well, I can't remember which one it is first name-wise, but there's 2 Larsons, and the other one, who's a sophomore, is just a monster and put up like 20-something in the championship game. So Carson Haygood had 27, though. Shout out to her. She probably won't win Class 4 Player of the Year this year just because of the Larson girl who balled out, but I mean, unbelievable season. So shout out to Donovan. They're going to bring a lot back again as well, so they're going to be one of the teams to beat in the area once again. 3rd place game, Cardinal Ritter beat Benton 65-60. It's a good ball game there. Moving over to the boys, Class 4, nobody from around here. 3rd place game, Benton beat Vashon. This was originally the game, like the 2 teams I expected to be in the championship game. Vashon ended them losing in the semis. They lost to Logan Rogersville. Unbelievable showing by Logan Rogersville. They beat Vashon wire to wire in the semifinal game, and they just kill Clayton in the championship, 72-36. So heck of a year for them. They might be in some transfer trouble at the end, going into next year, though. Stay tuned. And then in Class 5 was the other team we had from around here. That's Sykeston. Things pretty much went the way I expected them to in this Final Four. Sykeston beat Raytown South 56-47. Not a lot of issues there. And then in the championship, they faced off with MICDS. MICDS going into the postseason was kind of my favorite, if you will. They're in Class 5. I mean, they've been one of the best teams, if not the best team in Class 5 all year. So, no, I take that back. Webster Groves had been kind of the presumptive favorite. But when they got knocked out in districts to Vianney, and then especially whenever Sykeston beat Vianney, then it was like, okay, well, now the MICDS moves up in that pecking order. And MICDS beat Sykeston 55-38. It was a good ball game. Sykeston kind of relied on the 3 a little too much. MICDS was way bigger, equally, if not more athletic as Sykeston. And, yeah, they just looked really good. They just looked good. They looked like a state champion. They pretty much controlled the ball game, especially after the first quarter. Sykeston played well early, hit shots, but then when the shots stopped falling, game kind of slipped away. And then in Class 6, you had Rockhurst and Cardinal Ritter in the 3rd place game. It was a little bit of a surprise. Well, I was surprised that Cardinal Ritter lost to Blue Springs South there in the semifinals. And then Rockhurst and DeSmet, in my opinion, they played the other semifinal. That was kind of the championship game, I felt like. Rockhurst has been near the top of Class 6 all year, and then DeSmet beat maybe the best team most of the year in Class 6. It's kind of how it goes in the postseason, especially the Metro Catholic teams. They just beat up on each other. There's an upset, it seems like, every year in their district. DeSmet beat Chaminade, who was kind of my favorite to win it all this year. And so I looked at DeSmet and Rockhurst as probably the 2 best teams left in Class 6, but DeSmet beat Rockhurst in the semis And then Rockers beat Cardinal Ritter by 13, and DeSmet pretty much blew out Blue Spring South, won by 17. It's their second title in 3 years. The last one they won 2 seasons ago was in Class 5, so they're very, very well stuck in Class 6 for the foreseeable future. So, also, see what happens. There's a good chance Vianney moves up to Class 6, I think. So, probably another team Jackson's going to have to play. So that does it, man. That's the end of basketball. We're going to, like I said, fully turn the page over to the spring sports now as far as what I'm talking about week to week wise. There might be some cleanup. We're going to get the all-state team will come out. I'll talk about that in the next episode. I'm recording here on Monday. I'll pull up all the all-district teams, things like that. But that'll pretty much do it for, normal coverage. There's no reason to talk about it. It's not happening currently, but stay tuned though. I will be doing there's some interviews that are going to be coming out with some coaches or special, basketball reflection, wrap up, things like that, year in review. Coming up for me here on the channel, some more, like I said, more cleanup from winter sports season. So stay tuned for that. But yeah, it's time to move on to the spring sports. Like I said, we did get started this past week, and I will, like I said, run down conference and district teams. We had the all-SEMO conference team. On the girls' side, the player of the year was Kate Deck of Jackson. The coach of the year was Coach Angela Fulton. Obviously, they killed everyone. Leading scorer in the conference, also not a surprise, Elise Edwards' girl is a scoring machine from Kennett. And then Lauren Dory actually led the conference in free throw shooting at 90%. Holy cow. Great job, Lauren. Then the individual players, we had Jamie Dawson-Ide from Cape Central and Mia Panton here from Notre Dame, as well as Kenzie Keys from Saxony. So our area represented there. And then Jackson girls had 3 on the first team. Kate Deck, who's the player of the year, Lauren Dory, and Addison Henderson. So that is 3 sophomores from Jackson, all coming back next year. Rounding out the group, Mo Minley from Dexter, Elise Edwards, and Tasia Carter from Kennett, and Peyton Wiggins from Sykeston. Shout out to those girls getting it done in the SEMO conference. Looking at the boys, player of the year, as well as the leading scorer and the leader in free throw percentage. So player of the year validated there. Kobe Thomas from Sykeston. Coach of the year, Greg Hollifield. They went undefeated in the SEMO conference. Here in Cape Jackson, we had Goliath Morris Young from Cape Central. Cole Adams from Notre Dame, only a sophomore, so big things to come from that young man. John Ernst, another sophomore from Jackson, and Will Thomas, a senior from Jackson as well. So we're going to be bringing back quite a few of these guys. From Charleston, you had Trinez Lane, New Madrid's Jaden Williams, Dallas Williams from Poplar Bluff, and then Kobe Thomas and Markwell Murray from Sykeston. Both those guys are graduating, so, and Dallas Williams, but otherwise, Will Thomas. Oh, and John Sepulveda. John Sepulveda from Dexter I missed. So we're going to bring back about half this all-conference team on the boys' side. And heck, on the girls' side, you're only graduating a couple of those girls. So there's going to be a lot of talent back next year in the SEMO conference, which is going to make the basketball even better. So I'm excited about that. Always, rooting for the best product that we can get. Now, looking at all district team, I don't have any girls in Class 4. Class 4 boys, District 1, you have, if it'll pull up for me, you had a couple of kids from Notre Dame. Cole Adams, who I just mentioned, was all conference, as well as Braden Robert. Braden Robert played really well around the bucket, especially late in the year. He dominated, and then Cole Adams from start to finish played really, really well. Class 5 girls, we had Jamie Dawson-Ide from Cape Central, as well as Mia Panton from Notre Dame, making the Class 5 District 1 team. For the boys, you had Goliath Morris Young, the lone representative there from Cape Central. And then in Class 6, we'll start on the girls' side. A lot of accolades there as they did win the district. Kate Deck, Lauren Dory, Addison Henderson, all 3 sophomores once again. All-district team, as well as Coach Fulton was Coach of the Year. And Kate Deck actually shared Player of the Year award here in District 1 with Lauren Ortworth, the senior forward from Corhezu Academy. So shout out to them. Bringing a lot of those girls back, a lot of some young talent, sophomores from Oakville, Seckman. So we'll get to see a pretty good group coming back next year in District 1 and give Jackson another run for their money. Over on the boys' side, Jackson had 2 kids make the all-district team. Same as the SEMO conference. It was John Ernst and Will Thomas. Shout out to both of them. John obviously will be back. You look at the all-district team for District 1, you had 4 juniors, and John is the lone sophomore. So shout out to him, man. Making a big impact at a very, very young age, and I'm excited to see kind of where he goes here in the future. Sky is definitely the limit. So let's go ahead and look at the handful of games we got this past week. Baseball starting off last Thursday. The Tigers, Cape Central, got us rolling in baseball season. They had a doubleheader. It was alumni night. They had a bunch of former players there. They beat St. Pius. Pretty nice win for the Tigers, 4-3. They were ahead early and let St. Pius tie it up and turned around, walked it off in the bottom of the 7th. I believe bases loaded, kind of infield. What's his name? Zaid Hickey had the hit to second base, first base, somewhere on the right side of the infield. And they went home. Obviously had to. I think there was no outs, maybe 1 out. And the catcher dropped the ball as the runners slid in. So Cape, first game of the season, got a walk-off win. Then they played Charleston later in the evening, absolutely obliterated Charleston 16-1. Friday, everybody else got involved. Saxony played Fredericktown. It was a run rule beatdown, 15-0. The Crusaders won that one. Up north, Notre Dame went to Jefferson, I believe, or North County, somewhere up there. They played Jefferson, beat them 11-2, and then blew out North County as well, 10-0, to start off the new tenure there. Coach Bolin, Christian Cavanis, Caden Kendall, so a little bit of flavor from all over the Cape Girardeau County region. And then also up north, St. Charles West was hosting a tournament. Jackson played there. They played Fort Zumwalt North, had a shutout victory, 9-0 over the Panthers. Then on Saturday, Jackson took on Battle, won that one 8-1, and then Parkway Central beat them 9-0 as well. Also back over at Notre Dame, they took on West County, dropped this one 6-5. Close loss for the Bulldogs, but they finished the weekend 2-1. Jackson 3-0. Cape finishes the weekend 2-0. Saxony 1-0. So good start for all of our teams here. It's gonna be a busy week of baseball though for a lot of schools here in this area. The lone girls soccer match we had was Friday. Saxony beat Farmington 3-0, which I believe Farmington girls soccer is in the SEMO conference. So conference victory starting off the year for Saxony. In boys tennis, Notre Dame took on North County also Friday. As a team, they won that one 5-4, narrow victory there over North County. And then boys volleyball, I got to take in about a set of boys volleyball over the weekend. Saturday, Notre Dame hosted St. Francis Borgia, and they swept them 3-0. Pretty much blew them out, 25-9, 25-16, 25-18 in the contest. So Notre Dame boys starting out 1-0. And then the one sporting event that I was at was over the weekend at Notre Dame. I went to the Notre Dame, it's called the Frozen Invitational, but it was anything but frozen. It was very hot. I am sunburned on the back of my calves, the tops of my hands, the arms got a little sunburnt. It was like 88 degrees on Saturday at Notre Dame. It was a scorcher for mid-March. And I got a lot of results here. I'm kind of going to hit on some of the notable ones. I've talked about it a lot here in the past and, other times. Track and field, very fun, especially right now in our area. There's a lot of kids who are super talented who are putting up already really, really good results. So getting started on the boys' side at Notre Dame. Start with 100 meters. It's the race that people love to watch. It's the most exciting race in the sport. And Barrett Reagan, first meet of the year, lays down a 10.62. Technically the second fastest rate, or the second fastest 100-meter race in Jackson boys history. Unbelievable start to the year for that kid. I mean, he was sub 11 last year, I think 10.8. So to lay down a 10.6 first meet is awesome, but there's been a real commitment, it feels like, for Barrett in the off season. I've heard it from family, from coaches, things like that. They're very, very fired up about what Barrett might be able to do this year. It's going to be a senior year. And hey, let's be honest. He's got all the competition he needs, not just internally, but also in his own home. Barrett was kind of, he took my viewing by storm early in his career, putting up some awesome times as like a freshman, sophomore, and then as a younger brother come along, Blaine Reagan, who's then putting up amazing times as well. And then this past year, Blaine kind of started to put up a little bit better times in several different races, which grand finale was Blaine winning the 400 meters at the state championship last year. And I mean, I saw Barrett on Saturday at Notre Dame, getting the blocks for the 100. I was like, this doesn't look like the same kid. His just total body, transformation. He looks completely different. I mean, it looks like he's gained muscle, and it showed in the explosion he had here. He's a great starter. 10.62. It's a meet record. It's a PR, like I said. So as of right now, Barrett Reagan, officially the fastest 100-meter runner in the Reagan household. So shout out to Barrett. Blown away. Also, shout out to, man, hold on. We're gonna have to make me look this up here. I didn't write it down. I forgot this. There's a young man. I want to get his first name. Last name Shoaf. Kelly High School. Ran a 10.65 out of, there's like, you know how it is in some of these like big open meets. There was like 8 heats of boys. Evan Shoaf. There was like 8 heats, maybe more. How many total runners were there in the 100? 58 people ran the 100. And like middle of the heats, I'm standing there probably 70 meters down the track along the fence there at Notre Dame, just watching some of the early heats. I'm like, okay, yeah, a couple guys moving a little bit. Evan Shoaf, out of nowhere, took off, and he was like 10, 15 meters ahead of anybody else. I was just like, oh, this kid's flying. And he comes across the finish line. I look over, 10.65. I was just like, this guy's might win the race in heat like 3 out of 9 or something. Like, I was blown away at that kid. So shout out to Evan Shoaf from Kelly, senior. Took me by complete surprise. But Barrett Reagan did just beat him by a hair, 10.62 to set a meet record, personal record, all those things, like I said. So Barrett looks very, very good here to start the season. Shout out to him. Big early highlight. Also in the 100, some good times for the different guys. Andrew Peterson, Notre Dame, 11.06. Brayon Clemens from Cape, 11.13. Hudson Dennis, 11.18. And then Jalen Hampton from Jackson dropped his PR down to 11.29. So there's going to be some really, really good competition. I mean, there's obviously no Blaine Reagan did not run in this meet, making the transition over to track from basketball and running at a high level like he is going to, and he does. Give him a little bit more runway to get the season started. So he's not competing in this, so you won't hear his name. But some really good 100-meter times. And then the 200, one guy who really stood out for me, Brayon Clemens from Cape, came in third, and he ran a 22.8. So really good times here early in the season for Clemens. He committed to Missouri Baptist to play football and, I believe, run track as well. So he's going to be a big-time competitor as the season progresses here in the area. Then you've got in the 400, Maxim Mayhew out of Saxony, Great race. He comes in second, just a hair behind the winner. He ran 51.61, so a really nice 400 here to start the season for Maxim. He's a guy I expect to make a state run here this season for Saxony. In the 800, a couple standouts there. Aiden Bosky came in 204. Kenyon Kelpie came in 205. Elijah Cheek from Cape came in 205 as well. Really good times to start the year. These are guys who I expect by the end of the season to be really pushing that 2-minute even time range where you want to kind of be to be competitive at a decent level here in the state. You want to be, if you want to get advanced in the state, you got to be in that 150 mid range. But good first race for those guys. Good day at the office as well for Trenton Powell. Powell wins the 100 with 110 in the 300 hurdles. He ran 15.25 in the 110s. In a nice race, coming in second there, sophomore for Cape Central, Demarion Williams, 15.61. So nice race by him. Kind of stood out to me as well. In the 300, I mentioned Powell. He wins that. He goes sub 40, 39.98. So good times out of him here early in the season. And then Gage Parker from Jackson actually comes in second. Kid, I don't remember seeing last year in any some of the bigger competitive meets. So nice early running out of him. He goes 41.31 himself to come in second. The 4x1, the one team that really kind of impressed me, Notre Dame, beat their, I believe, school PR by nearly a second, or by like 9/10 of a second, or beat the meet record maybe. I think they beat the meet record by 9/10 of a second. So really, really good showing by them. That's a group that went to state last year. Yeah, the meet record, was 43.99, set by Cape a couple years ago. Notre Dame ran 43.09. So big time stuff out of Notre Dame there. I'm excited to kind of see what that group can do if they all stay healthy. It was Powell, Dylan Newman, Andrew Peterson, Hudson Dennis in that one. Jackson was competitive. There was an issue at the last exchange there between Brock Reagan, who's in his first year, running track with his brothers, and then and Ryan Larry. So we almost had a rundown there at the end between what would have been Larry and Dennis, but had an exchange issue, which is always a big deal in the 4x1. So shout out to Notre Dame. That 4x1 team's looking really nice. In shot put, Gavin Shin came in third. He threw 47 feet 5 inches. In javelin, we had a few guys here in the area stand out. Grant Allspall, as a sophomore, threw 148.10. Beat Clark Jones from Saxony in fourth by a foot, 47.10. And then Max Pardon from Cape threw 42.4 to round out the 3, 4, 5 spots. In high jump, guy I mentioned a minute ago, Demarion Williams, jumped really well. 6 feet, 4.75, so 4 3/4 inches. He and Ryan Larry both hit that mark, which, this is a personal best for Larry, I believe, and he's a guy who made it to state last year, so he's trending the right direction. And Demarion Williams, only a sophomore, jumping really, really well. So shout out to those guys. In pole vault, A was the usual suspect there at the top. Kent Sheridan jumps 15.5. He's set to have a great, great senior season. I'm really excited to see what he can do. He made the state finals last year, coming in second place. I know he was really hoping to come away in first a season ago. This year, it's laid out for him. He's the presumptive favorite in the state. He's one of the very, very best in the entire state right now. So he jumps 15.5, not nearly, it's not around his PR or anything, but good first jump. And then the one who really kind of jumped out, Ellis Bruni over at Notre Dame, 15.5 as well, to at least match Sheridan in height. Broke his outdoor PR by over a foot. I think it was like a foot and an inch or so that he broke his own outdoor PR in. So awesome showing by him. He's a young guy who now immediately puts himself in like state contention for sure. So shout out to Bruni. I'm going to be keeping an eye on to kind of see what he does the rest of this season. And, maybe how he progresses, or is this, a one time just like jumped out of his mind type thing? We'll see. So shout out to him though. Great, great first meet of the season. Then you've got long jump. One guy really, for me, was Jaden Johnson of Cape Central. He jumped 20 feet, 5 1/4 inch. To my knowledge, I don't think he was on the team last year. If I could be totally wrong, but if that's the case, my bad. But he's a great athlete, basketball player. Threw down some nice dunks for Cape Central this season, so he can jump. He can make some noise, I think, by the time the season's over with. So I'm excited to kind of see his progression. Turning over to the girls, there are a few nice performances on the girls' side. In the 100 as well, kind of similar to the boys, Taraji Riley ran well, 12 flat to get her season started. She got first place, a little bit off her PR or anything like that, but she's a girl who I expect to be around in the state meet and a couple of different events. And then another one that stood out to me, Beckley Getz from Jackson ran 12.67. I think she's kind of poised to have a good season, so I'm excited to see her in a few different events. She ran the 100, and I think she can run pretty well. In the 200, you had Anaya Bonzi from Jackson. She came in third, 27.97, her first varsity meet as a freshman. Similarly, Lily Dawes from Jackson in the 400. Her first varsity meet, she's a freshman. She ran 105.45. Pretty good early mark. Like I said, kind of get her feet under her, run against some other good competition. It wouldn't surprise me to see her pushing that minute mark by the end of the year. In the 800, another freshman, Hallie King from Jackson. She comes in second, 2:24.37. Really, really good first start for her. I mean, she was kind of running against a beast there. Reagan Meyer from St. Vincent won. She ran 2:13, I believe. So huge number by her. But shout out to Hallie. Ran well as a freshman. Emma Nabalski right behind her in 2:25. In the 3,200, Jolyn Zhang, really, really part of a really talented group of distance runners from Notre Dame. She came in first in the 32, 12:53. In the 100 hurdles, Maria Sire, the leader in the area, came in second place in 16:31. In the 300 hurdles, had a few different names that kind of jumped out to me. Grayson Maurer is the, I believe, Army West Point signee. She ran 49.99. Came in second behind Carly Kosu from Chaffee, who's a beast. So a nice early season start here for Grayson. And then Rena Matthews from Saxony, nice number, 51.22. And then Bella Ivy from Jackson, 52.74. Put up the high mark there for the Indians. Somebody kind of keep an eye on. She ran well today, too, I believe, in the hurdles. So today is Monday, by the way. There's a track meet going on in Poplar Bluff right now, but we're not going to get into that at the moment. In shot put, girls, you have Anna Knippen came in second. She threw 31 feet, 8 inches. And in throwing in general, one person that really impressed for me was Katarina Ellison. Kat Ellison goes to Jackson. She went to state in the javelin last year. She threw shot put for, as far as the records go on the app where they posted everything. It was the first time she threw it. She got ninth place. She threw 30 feet, 3.5 inches. It didn't show that she threw the discus either last year. She threw 106 feet, 9 inches, got her second place, which is a big PR in her career. And then another massive PR in the javelin. She went to state, like I said, she got 10th at state last year. She threw at Notre Dame 9 feet past what she threw at state, which was her previous PR, to 134 feet, 2 inches to give her a runaway victory, first place in the javelin. So Ellison looks a lot stronger and is poised to really break out, put up some big numbers this year. In the high jump, Adeline Prater from Jackson came in third at 4.11. Jesse Iwachukwu from Notre Dame came in second, also matching 4.11. And in first place, somebody else I'm really excited about, Caden Kern, a freshman for Cape Central, big time athlete, 3-sport starter for the Tigers, or starter in the 2 other ones. In volleyball, she was a really good player. Basketball, she had a really nice season. And now she comes out, wins, jumps 5'1". I expect if she sticks with it, I want her to. If Caden, you hear this ever, anybody in Caden's life, coaches, anything, keep this girl in track, man. She can be a beast in whatever you throw her out there and do. She's a big-time jumper. I think she could be a big-time runner as well. We'll see. But 5-1, first varsity meet, nice start. Pole vault, Amelia Fox gets second place from Jackson, 10 feet 6. Sarah Seaball gets a PR from Saxony, 10 feet, as well as Casey Call, 10 feet even as well. Long jump, Taraji Riley back there. She jumps 17 feet 2 1/4 inches, gets second place. Brooklyn Williams came in third at 16, 11 and a half. And then triple, Grayson Maurer came in third place there, 36 feet 2 1/4 inch. So there's a lot of numbers, I know, but man, I really, really enjoyed it. Track is one of my favorite sports. It's my favorite sport in the spring, so get used to hearing me talk about it a lot. I'm sorry. So I'm a big, big fan. Let's look at this week. Got a lot going on. I'll run through it here. Baseball, let's do a little mid-podcast update. Oh, my gosh. All right. Well, Jackson is playing SLU as I'm speaking to you right now. You know the outcome. Just kidding. It's 8-7. Jackson won. So shout out to Jackson. The game was tied at 7 in the bottom of the 6th when Nolan Roach hit a sacrifice fly. Nice. Matt Carter had 4 hits. Nice. Good job. So Jackson, staying undefeated, went back up there, up north to St. Charles West, taking on SLU. Junior Bills got the big victory. It's a nice win over Metro Catholic Conference team here to start the week. Tuesday, we have a couple of games. Notre Dame hosts Portageville. Portageville is really, really tough small school, so it should be a nice test for Notre Dame. Saxony will host Scott City, who's also a very, very good small school. Be a tough test for the Crusaders. Wednesday, big slate. Notre Dame takes on Fredericktown. Cape hosts Farmington, and Saxony hosts Meadow Heights. Big week for Saxony here. They play a ton. And Friday, Jackson's back out on the diamond. Are hosting Sykeston. Notre Dame will be going up to Union, Missouri for the Bank Classic, a 2-day tournament, Friday, Saturday. And Cape has a couple of games against Kentucky places, Illinois, Kentucky. McCracken County. They're playing at McCracken County. That is in Kentucky. They're playing Massac County, also in McCracken County. I don't know. Not a Southern Illinois, Kentucky geography knower, I'm sorry. Try to stay out of those places, And then Saxony is hosting Leopold on Friday. So, a lot of baseball. Weather should be nice by the end of the week, so get out and go watch some of these games. Speaking of games, to go watch girls soccer, we got a few games Tuesday. Probably about, by the time you're seeing this, you should know what the final is or just about. Cape Central is hosting St. Vincent, which will be very tough. St. Vincent, a good team, bringing back a lot of talent. Notre Dame will host Parkway South on Thursday. Cape will host Poplar Bluff, and Saxony will host Carterville, all on Thursday. So drive around Cape County. You'll find a lot of good girls soccer going on. And Friday, Jackson finally gets started. On the schedule originally, I said they were playing Cape. I was wrong if I said the last episode. My bad. Hand up. Jackson gets their season started at Visitation Academy. So going on the road Friday. Notre Dame goes on the road to Parkway Central Friday as well. And then Saturday, Jackson, I assume, is just going to stay up in the St. Louis area. They play at Fort Zumwalt East on Saturday. On the track, I mentioned it. You'll know all the results. We'll talk about it in the next episode. Of Poplar Bluff is hosting kind of like a SEMO Conference North and Company Open. Thursday, Saxony is going to Woodland for the Woodland Open. And then Saturday, a busy one for all of our local teams. Everybody's going up to Festus. So you got Jackson, Notre Dame, Cape, and Saxony all going up north to the Festus Invitational. It's not surprising. There's some big-time competition up there. There's going to be some big-time teams from all over the state there at Festus. So it's kind of where I think a lot of coaches are gearing up to. I know that's kind of how Jackson sees it. They're going to, at present, I think they're going to kind of be, looking to get Blaine ready to run there. You probably see Blaine and Barrett run there, maybe in the 400 against each other, TBD. I don't know. I'm just trying to speak that into existence just to see it happen. And then, so I'm excited to see that, excited to see what numbers people can put up and how they can compete at the really, really highest level. So that's very, very exciting. Looking at boys golf. I don't have the stats on that. I'll talk about it next time if I get the stats here. Jackson, Cape, Saxony, Notre Dame, all at the Notre Dame Invitational here this Monday, past your real time here. Boys tennis have a couple of games that have already happened. Monday, we'll talk about that in the next episode. But then Tuesday, Jackson hosts Sykeston. Cape hosts Festus on Wednesday. And also Wednesday, Jackson will be hosting Eureka. So a couple of games for Jackson, or several games for Jackson this week, at least 4, as they will then play at the Courts for Cancer event at Dexter on Friday. And then in between Thursday, Cape goes to Sykeston. So busy slate in the boys tennis world. And then in the boys volleyball side of things, that kind of gets rolling for Saxony. They're very busy this week. As you know, by now, they went to Freeburg Monday. We'll talk about it in the next episode. Tuesday, they're at Collinsville. And Thursday, it says Freeburg comes here to Saxony. And then Saturday, Notre Dame is playing in the Francis Howell tournament, and Saxony is in the Belleville East tournament. So both of them going up north to get some action in up there in boys volleyball. So I think that does it for me. We kind of ran through a lot there. I said a lot of numbers in the track roundup part of this. I'm sorry, but like I said, I really, really love track, and I'm going to talk about it a lot. I'm going to give you in heavy detail what happens in track meets a lot of times, especially if I get to go to them. If I'm at a track meet, you're going to hear a lot about it. My goal is, I won't be going up to Festus. My goal is to be at the Jackson Invitational. I'm not sure exactly what everything's going to look like, kind of participation-wise, things like that, but I believe that is April 7th, so I believe I'll be in attendance for that. At least I'll try to be. It'll kind of depend on my job. So I do have one of those. So yeah, that pretty much does it for me. You know, we're in the middle of March Madness. My favorite, by far, what am I saying? My favorite sporting event, favorite time of year in sports. You've got, I just came down off of 4 straight days of watching basketball for like 14 hours. And you come back to work on Monday and your brain's fried. And it's been a lot of fun. So I'm excited. Woo Pig, by the time you see it, or Thursday we're playing Arizona. So might not be woo pigging very much longer in basketball, but it's fine. Baseball season, outdoor track season. We're a track school. Men's indoor national title, University of Arkansas. Track school. Anyway, I'm rambling. That pretty much does it for me. Like I said, that wraps, basketball's done. We're all in on spring sports, but I'll still probably have some basketball content out. We're recording some basketball interviews for, it'll come out the next few weeks, some filler in between weeks as well. You might get a couple episodes in a week in that case, or I might just release one of the interviews after Easter just to kind of alleviate all the busyness I have in my life around Easter time. So, just be on the lookout for that. Make sure to like, subscribe, turn on notifications on wherever you watch on YouTube, things like that, and you'll see immediately when videos get uploaded. Or always, you tell people you can find us anywhere you listen to podcast at. If it's not where you listen to a podcast at, just let me know, and I can get it uploaded there, put it up there. It's a pretty simple process for me. So just let me know. Like I said, if there's anything I ever miss or don't talk about, or you want me to talk about, just hit me up in the DMs, Exit 99 Sports on all social media pages, or you can find me personally, Caleb Deloach, wherever you put out your super useful opinions online at. That's what I do. Thank you guys as always. Get out there. We're going to have some really good weather again this week. So go out, watch some baseball, soccer, tennis, etc. And then go inside, watch boys volleyball where it's nice and cool as well. So thank you as always. Go out, watch some sports. We appreciate it. And I'll see you in the next one. Take it easy.